Okay, this is lab number 6. So we are starting to deal with I/O at this point. So when we talk about I/O, we're going to talk about inputs, outputs. So what are we actually controlling? We are controlling our gripper. The actual physical valve for this is this black thing back here. So you'll see 2 electrical connections and 2 air lines coming out of that. That is the solenoid valve located inside that box. So 2 outputs come from the robot. It controls 2 different air lines. The air lines come up through the robot itself there and get fed out through here and end up going into the gripper. And turning these on and off actually make the gripper open and close. And then the second thing you'll see here is this little orange light on the front here. There's 2 switches there that indicate whether the gripper is actually physically opened or closed. So if we go to one of our screens here, this is actually the under here. If we go to zoom out a bit here, if you wanted to control this, you could go to inputs, outputs, under view, digital outputs, and you'll see this here. We have grip, close, SV, that's solenoid valve for the closed, grip, open, SV, that's solenoid valve for the open. We can actually click one of these, and you can see how we have a 1 on the open, a 0 on the close right now. I can actually manually manipulate these here right now. So if I turn that to a 0, and then turn the close to a 1, you'll see this actually close. So that's closed, and you'll actually see the orange light shift in there as well. So that is now the indicator for closed. And if I was to go to view the digital inputs, at this point you'll see the closed switch has a value of 1. Open switch has a value of 0. If I flip this the other way, go back to the outputs, turn off the closed, turn on the open, you'll see the grip valve is now open. And if I was to go to the inputs, I now have the opposite case here. Opened as a 1, closed as a 0. So that is basically our inputs and outputs functioning. I'll zoom in on this here. Again, I'll cycle that valve again, and you can see it. So you'll see the orange light change, indicating the position. Orange light change and the gripper moves. Orange light change and the gripper moves. So that is basically our I/O in action. So for the lab this week, here's what we're going to do. We are going to first start off by teaching a TCP. The TCP we're actually going to teach is going to be basically, you can use any corner on this gripper here. I'm going to try to teach this inside corner here. That's probably the most effective thing you can do. Teach that inside corner. Now just to make it simple to tell you what is going on here, I'm going to put a piece of tape on here and just make this black so you can actually see it. So we are going to teach this corner right here of the gripper. So that's what I'm going to teach as my tool center point. And the process for doing this is basically exactly the same as any other TCP teaching that we would do. So we will run through this real quick. The values that you would expect to get here. If I grab the little tape measure, if I manually measure this, that is about 150 or 112 millimeters in the Z. I'm going to guess it is about, in the X direction, about 12 millimeters. And that whole thing is about 102 millimeters wide, so probably it's more like what, 78 millimeters wide, so let's say 39 millimeters in the Y, so probably 112 in the X, is that what I said? 12 in the, oh, that was the Z, 112 in the Z, 12 in the X, and that's the negative direction, I think. Let's think about this. That's positive Y, so about 39 or so in the Y direction. So let's teach this, see how it goes. All right, let's teach our TCP. So the lab says we are going to call this Gripper. A new tool called Gripper. So tool data. Let's teach a new tool. Call it Gripper. There we go, a new tool called Gripper. And I'm going to define it using 4 points. I'm going to slow down my jogging speed down to about 30%. There's point 1. Modify position. Modify position. Modify position. Do that. Modify position. Okay, so calculation is there. My values are okay. And I got, for values, I got -12, -36, and 109, roughly about what I thought I would get based on my measurements. So that looks good. So we'll say okay. Go in and change my mass. Set the mass to 1, set my Z value of the center of gravity to 10, and I should now have a valid TCP. I'll test it by selecting that gripper, going to reorient, and performing a reorient. And as you can see, I am now reorienting about that inside corner of the gripper. Alright, so that is a usable tool. So that is teaching the TCP. Okay, now that I have my TCP done, I'm going to start programming. So let's go to Program Editor. And I'm going to make a new routine. And this routine is going to be called Gripper Open. It's going to consist of 4 lines. The 4 lines of code that I need to open a gripper. So, add instruction. This is going to be from the I/O menu. I/O. And I am going to do, first of all, a reset. I'm going to do this with the set reset. There's basically 2 outputs that are configured right here. I have the gripper closed solenoid valve, gripper open solenoid valve. So this is the open routine. So I'm going to reset the close. And then I'm going to set the open. You can see it defaults to the last output that I tried to use, so I'm going to change this. And there we go. So we've got reset to close, set the open as our first part of this. So that actually controls this. So if I was to run this right now, actually my gripper's already open right now, so won't really see this run. Yeah, well we can force this here. Let's actually close the gripper. And then go back, TP to routine. Gripper open, okay. And let's debug this routine. Let's run it, and what we should see is the gripper actually open when we run. And there we go, gripper opens. Okay. Second part of this we want to add in actually monitor that switch. So we want to add another instruction under I/O. It's under the next menu. This is going to be adding the wait DI instruction. So we're going to say wait DI. We want to see the gripper closed switch should read a 0. So we'll change this to 0. And a wait DI gripper open switch should read a 1. And again, I'll just verify this. Manually close it here. Go back to my debug. Repeat routine, gripper open. And I should be able to run this. I'm going to step it through this time. So we go turn off the close valve. Turn on the open valve. So I'm now open. Now I wait to make sure that my closed switch is reading 0, which it is right now. And then I wait to see that the open switch is reading a 1, which it is right now. And if all that's good, I'm good to move on to the next line. That is the gripper open routine completed. Now what would happen if we didn't put those wait DIs in there? Well, let's give us an example here. Right now, the gripper is closed. Let's run this again. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shut off the air to this station. See if I can figure out how to do that. Okay, so I needed to cycle the valves about 1,000,000 times here to get all the air out of the lines. But what we've got here now, basically the gripper is closed. I'm going to try to run the routine here. So I'm going to step through this. So I'm going to reset the gripper close valve. I'm going to set the gripper open valve. So I have set that valve. But what you're going to see, I'm now at the next line where it says wait DI for gripper close switch. This is waiting for that switch to be, and you can see that this gripper right now is basically closed. That is closed right now, or pretty much closed. So right now it says wait for the gripper close switch to read 0. And I am just stuck at that line, and I get a message that comes up on the screen here. It says, do you want to simulate the instruction for that? Because this is still telling me that that gripper, even though we pulled it to open, it's still showing a switch that says that it is closed. So this is the whole purpose of having these two lines in here. This verifies what the actual position of the gripper is in right now. Because I've taken away air pressure, even though I've commanded the gripper to open, there is no air pressure to actually open it. So it cannot physically open, and it will not let me go to the next line of the program because of that. So this is the purpose of these two lines at the bottom here. This verifies that the commands that I've told it to do actually get executed. Okay, so that's the purpose of those two lines at the bottom. Those watch the positions of those switches right there, those little orange lights, which tell me the position of that gripper. And it's saying, hey, you told me to open and I am unable to open right now. Do not go to the next line of your robot program because the gripper is not in the position that you think it is. So that is the purpose of that. Okay, now it's time to actually program the routine. So I have created my open and my closed routines. I created a closed routine as well, very similar to the open routine. So that is closed right now. I am just going to open my gripper. First part I'm going to run with the gripper open. So that's gripper open. Now I want to run, first of all, let's create a home position. So in my main, I'm going to create a home position. Remember, we do home position, we want to go to tool 0. We'll create this with tool 0. I'll go to linear. I'm going to use the align function to make sure I'm nice and aligned. There we go, we're aligned. And I'm now going to jog this up to a nice position. Somewhere up above. I'm going to go up a little bit, up there, right in between the two nests, and I will spin this around as well. I'll split it up a little bit. That looks pretty good. Alright, so let's teach that as our home. So under my main, I'm going to add instruction. This is going to be a J move. That's a new. I'm going to call this my new P home. That's going to be tool 0. I'm going to go Z50 through that one, and let's move there at 1500, nice and fast. Yeah, everything looks good for that. Okay. Now let's go to our routines. Pick one, drop two is my first routine. I'm going to go back to my new tool. So my tool is going to be gripper. I'm going to work with gripper for everything else from now on. I'm also going to jog in tool. That makes it nice and easy for me. So, if this is in the gripper, let's look at how this goes. It fits in there nice and snug like that. So get a sense of where that locates in the gripper. It's almost touching the top when it's in those nubs. So that's about, you pretty much need to be touching the top of the part, or very close to touching the top of the part when we go to pick that up. So let's teach our pick position first and then work backwards from there. So this starts to get tricky. So we want to be over here, and we want to be nice. I'm moving nice and slow. I'm in 30%. I can tell right away I'm not square to the part right now, so I'm going to spin this around. That looks pretty good. I'm bringing this down. It needs to go this way a little bit. And this is where it gets dicey. So we want to come down, and this will actually pick it up a little bit if you're a little bit high. So come down, be very close with this. You don't want to crash on the part. gonna stop right there. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna go forward. Wait just a little bit. I'm gonna say that's gonna be my pickup position. So, pick one, drop two. This is going to be add instruction. This is going to be definitely a move L. Right here. And this is going to be a new position. And it's going to be P. Pick one. Let's move at about 100 to get there. And remember, this position definitely needs to be a fine movement. My tool is gripper. So that all looks good. Okay. Now my next position from here is going to be here, but straight upwards. So I need to remember which way is up. That's down. This is up. So I want to be up and clear of the part. So I have a clear path back to home if I was dropping this. So I'm up and just clear right about there. That looks good. That's going to be my pre-pick position. And this one is going to be a J move. Let's call this a move J. This is going to be above. This one's going to be new. P. Pre-pick one. And I'm going to move to this one at 1,000. And I'm going to use a, let's go with a Z50 on this one. We'll try a couple different things to see what it looks like. So that's what I have in my program so far. Now, after I do the move L, what do I want to do in there next? I want to do a proc call of a gripper close. The next thing I want to do after this, I want to go straight up. I'm going to do a move L. Back to pre-pick one. That's that position. And I'm going to do a Z50 on that. And then I'm going to do a move to home. And for this one, I'm just going to do E home. I'm going to do this at 1500. And remember that I taught home in tool 0. So that should be my routine. So I should come in, go to the pre-pick, go to the pick, pre-pick, pick, close, pre-pick, go to back to home. So let's take this through right now. And then let's proc call this from the main. Say that instruction proc call. Pick one, drop two. Below. Alright, so let's now try this. So let's do a debug, PP to main. We're just going to step through this the first time. We'll step through it and we'll step through it slow. So let's go at 25%. So there we go. We're at home. We are calling. So we're doing J move to there. Linear move straight down. Calling our gripper routine. We have gripped. We verify we've gripped. We move up to our pre-pick position, and we move back to here, and we're cool. Alright, so that was that. Well, let's carry on. Let's go back to our let's do next the drop. Alright, let's execute the drop here. So we're going to carry on from our pick one, drop two routine. Go to the bottom of this. We've now gone back to home. Now we want to go down to our dropping positions. So let's jog over there. Have to do a reorient because this one is twisted. That makes it very easy if we are working in tool here. Because now my jogging in X and Y line up with the paper. If you do crash into the table, it's going to be difficult to move it. So avoid crashing. Take your time. Alright, I'm going to call that my drop position. So let's say add instruction. Move L. This is going to be, remember we are in gripper. This is a fine point. V10. And this is new. P. Drop 2. As soon as we're in that position, we're going to do a proc call for gripper open. And I am just going to run that routine right now, just to open the gripper. Gripper open. teach a pre-drop position. Should be up above this. Right there. Add instruction. Pre-drop 2. I was in the wrong tool for a second there, so I'm going to modify these. All right. So, I think I have this taut. Alright, so we are going to step through this. We're going to go stepping at 25% first, and then we'll try running it at continuous. So we are at home. Call the pick 1, drop 2. J move to pre-pick. Linear. Call the gripper close. Linear to the pre-pick, to home. That is J move to pre-drop, linear to drop. Call it gripper open. Linear to pre-drop, J move to home. All right. We're going to try it now running continuous. Try that again at 100%. Okay, so that is 100% continuous. All right, I am going to mirror this and then we'll run it going back and forth. All right, so this is our program running continuously. So pick out of, so this is pick out of 2, drop in 1. Pick out of 1, drop in 2. And if we watch our code here, there we go. So that is the completed lab. The last thing we're going to do, just stop it when it's in the air here. I'm going to back this up, so I'm going to get a USB key. I'm going to take my USB, put it in down here, and I'm going to go back up and restore. Back up current system. This is the hard drive right now, so I need to get out of here. I need to go up, up, select USB. And then I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this 2023 Labs. Under that folder. This is good, okay. This is my file. I'm going to change that. I'm going to call this Lab 6 Lab 6 Al Douglas. So I'm going to store this folder as Lab 6 Al Douglas. That's what's going to create it. Do this. Do we want to back up? Yes, we do. Creating a backup. There we go. That's all backed up. I now have that on my USB. And what I want to do now, let's drop this part. Easiest way to do that. Jog this down. Run my gripper open routine. There we go. I'm now going to run the zero routine. Take myself back to 0. And I'm going to do a restore of the system to clear out everything that goes in here. So again, we're going to go to backup and restore and say restore. I'm going to restore not from here, but I'm going to go back to up, back to the hard drive, go to the backup, go to this folder that's called clean backup, and select that folder, get to here, and say OK. Is that what I wanted to restore? Yes, it is. And that is going to restore everything. It wipes out everything on this robot, takes it back to the original starting position. And there we go. That is the end of the lab. That's how we get it done. So, that is the lab for this week. Good luck.